And action. Welcome to another action-packed episode of the Action Podcast. And we have a couple big hitters today on the menu. We have, of course, the long-anticipated Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, the sequel to the original Black Panther, if you couldn't figure that out. And secondly, we have the Fabelmans. Pete and I were able to catch the sneak preview of that since we are in the Los Angeles area, is only playing in Century City. And we were able to check that out and get that to you ahead of time so you know whether or not to check that out. So first, let's start with the nationwide release of Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Pete, what was your take?
Well, I mean, I ultimately enjoyed this movie a lot. I think the first Black Panther was way better. But this was kind of like a tough situation for Ryan Coogler. This film, and if you look at this film in context of what he had to do in order to get this film made, it just elevates it even more. But even without that sort of backstory, it is a pretty great film. He had already written the script for the second Black Panther before Boseman's passing. So then he had to rewrite it and then create this movie. And then the other challenge I think that he had was who played Shuri? Was that Letitia Wright?
Yeah.
Letitia Wright in the first one was a supporting character. And she now, all of a sudden, without really asking for it, had to become a main character in this franchise. And I thought that she absolutely crushed. I'm not going to spoil it, but especially the very last scene, I'm getting chills right now. There was so much emotion. She didn't say a word. It was just this music and it was just her face. And it was just incredible to watch. I thought Angela Bassett was incredible, very powerful performance from her. On the VFX side, I thought that the water effects that they used were just absolutely incredible. They had these water grenades that whenever they would go off, it would be like this super awesome, like slow motion sort of shots. The VFX were a lot better than I think in the original Black Panther. I thought that there was I thought there were some limitations in the first film. But my cons about this, and I'm not a comic book guy. I'm not all this sort of thing. So I wasn't really a big fan of the villain, Namor,
I think it is.
Namor.
Yeah.
I wasn't really a big fan of his. I thought there was just way too much backstory on him. That just I didn't really care. I never really cared about the plights that he had growing up and the situation that he was brought into. And I didn't really quite follow the going after this girl thing, and why that was so important to him. I think it was because she made a machine and now the US government was going to get this machine and then go after his.
Yeah. It's basically
the water world.
It's playing offense as defense. So, that's a football strategy. Like in order to defend yourself, you have to be hyper aggressive on offense to in order to quote unquote play defense, because
the actor did really well. I thought he performed fine. I just wasn't a fan of him in general. But I thought all the Wakandans were great. All the supporting people that came back were amazing. In just their little tiny moments. So overall, I mean, you got to go see this movie. It's a must go see. I think Ryan Coogler, in summary, just crushed once again. He's one of my favorite directors, and I thought the situation that he was presented, I thought he did a really great job, all things considered. And Letitia Wright is brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a little bit different take than you. I actually think this movie is better than the first one. And I think I do include, I don't think you cannot include, like you're saying, the exterior forces that this film had to deal with, because it's incorporated into it. You know what I mean? And so I think in a general level, I feel this movie just has way more emotion. And we talked about this even before it. I mean, this movie's got a lot of pure emotion to it, just because you can't not think about that stuff. You know what I mean? And so
you had emotions before going into this film, like before you even saw a second of it, you were already sort of emotional about it. And the other take is, the actors who were really performing in those sort of emotional and sad moments, were they acting because of the character, or were they acting in real life as well? Because I mean, Boseman was, a really close friend of all of them. So
yeah,
wow, what a weird set, and what a weird film to have to.
Yeah. And I think that it shows throughout this film. And I think that's what adds just another layer to it. And, the intro is amazing for that, just because it is kind of that tribute, and we all kind of wondered how it would do it. And I thought, again, it was done magnificently. I loved, like you're saying, there's some great cinematography and VFX stuff that I thought really worked. It's had a really nice style to it. And I did like the villain and the backstory stuff, just because I love when they're able to kind of tie in kind of history and then kind of fictionalize it, to fit this story. And I thought it was a cool kind of that's what made these two characters and civilizations, that's what made this story work, was their similarities and also like their need for each other. And then it's just one of those classic, like, there's two ways to do this, but we have completely different opposite ways on how to execute. And that's good writing. You know what I mean? And so
that's the Joker, Batman, Dark Knight.
Yeah. And then what I also really, and I don't think a lot of people will pick this up, but this is there's just a one word in this, and I will spoiler at this. So fast forward literally just a minute, because it's not a huge spoiler, but there's a part where Namor, he just says the word mutant, and so that's the first time really that mutants. He's the introduction of mutants to the Marvel universe, and this is what we've been waiting for. And so, moving forward, you're going to start seeing mutants, and so before, everybody had a kind of a reason why things. He didn't have a reason. He's like, I just have these flippers on my or these wings on my feet, and so this is now that new element. So again, for me, looking at this as a whole, as opposed to just an individual movie, like it got me a little excited. It's like, okay, here we go. Sure. Like, fasten your seatbelt. So I would think with all those elements combined, that's why I just like this one more. I think this is a film I'd watch more than the original Black Panther. There's a couple other like secret surprises that kind of, again, play out through this whole thing. And so
I think the only argument that I have about the villain is that, I come from the first one, and Michael B. Jordan and his performance as a villain, and that was so amazing that it just didn't match that same level of villainousness.
Well, and the reason why I like this guy more, and this is
not fair, but
I'm not going to say this is a hot take, but this is a warm take. And this has been, I like Michael B. Jordan as an actor, and I think obviously I love him in Creed. He was good in Fruitvale Station 2. What I want to see from him, and this is more coming from a director as opposed to a fan, but I want to see more nuanced performances from him. He always kind of goes more like angry as opposed to controlled and still able to execute a certain role. And I just like, so for me, his villain in Black Panther was way too similar of a performance to Creed. And it's like, it works for Creed, but then I just want to see, again, I want to see more nuanced, it's if you think of some of the other like great actors, they're like, I mean, Matt Damon's like a great one, right? Like Matt Damon can be in a comedy and then all of a sudden be in a drama, Good Will Hunting, and like, there's just different flavors, right? Denzel Washington, yes, he always is kind of Denzel, but at the same time, he has other roles where he's kind of a weaker man, or he just has different, he knows how to throw the changeup. And it's like Michael B. Jordan knows how to throw a fastball. We know that. He can even throw the curveball. But I need to see him now throw. I need him, instead of being he needs to learn how to throw a changeup or an off-speed pitch to really fully complete his arsenal of pitches. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the thing that. So for me, I thought his Black Panther villain was good. It's not. I would never put him in the pantheon of greatest villains of all time. Nor would I Namor either. I'm not saying that Namor is, but Namor doesn't even really come across as a villain. That's how I like this so much more, because it again, it's more conflicting as a story, where it's like, well, he's got some points, like, it's more rational, and that's what makes it a more complex question and complex.
Yeah, I certainly plan on seeing this again and getting a real deep dive.
Same, yeah.
I look forward to seeing it again. That's for sure.
100%. So yeah, I'm with Pete. Ultimately, yes, you definitely got to see this one. Honestly, if you didn't see the first one, you could see it without it. I think they do enough good job of backstory of everything that you kind of figure you could figure everything out. It's not like it's not impossible.
Yeah, not impossible. I mean, it would be nice.
I don't know why you would see this one if you hadn't seen the first one, but
right.
Maybe there's somebody out there like, I'll just go see it. But ultimately, you could, is my point. And so, I think this was, like I said, ultimately, I would say Ryan Coogler did the job of creating a sequel that is at least on par with the first one. I think you can argue which one you like more, but I would say in terms of sequels, it's definitely up there. It's up there on some of the best sequels. And I want to say, let's see, I really like Captain America, but that's because Captain America 1 was not so good. Avengers 2 is not as good as Avengers 1. I mean, this might be the best.
Yeah, Doctor Strange 2 was not as good.
No. Spider-Man 3 is more, but I'm talking about it's only the second one, like the pure second one.
Right. Iron Man 2 wasn't as good as Iron Man 1.
No. But see, Iron Man 2, I think, is a good comp, because Iron Man 2 was just like, it was a worthy second one. Whereas, like I said, I didn't like the first Captain America, but the second one was like, oh, okay, I really love the second one compared to the first Winter Soldier. So yeah, I'd put it next to those two ones in terms of sequel comps as well. So awesome. So our next film, this is the Secret Surprise, guys. We had to put effort. Well, Pete had to put no effort because the theater's right next to his house, but I put in a lot of effort to go see this film, because this is Steven Spielberg. This is his.
I literally walked across the street.
Yeah. What's the not coup d'etat? What's that one French word or Latin word where it's like this is his moment or his prized?
Oh yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Not creme de la creme, but something. Well, some smart person will know what I'm trying to say.
Definitely not French.
Yeah, but so this is the Fabelmans, and this is a rough biopic on Steven Spielberg. It's a very personal story of him and his journey, and him dealing with some of his family things and whatnot. And I read somewhere where this took him 72 years to make, and he couldn't make this 30 years ago because he wasn't ready. Like, he didn't want his parents alive, I think, when he wrote this, because he didn't want to hold back. He wanted to kind of go through the full thing. So I'll give my opinion on this one first, Pete, and then you can go. So I look at this film in two different ways. So sometimes when you see a trailer, the trailer is magnificent. And when you see a trailer, you kind of hope where you maybe have hopes of, this is where I hope this movie goes. And for me, it did not go where I hoped it would go, but I still thought it was a very excellent film. I really, really loved the ending. The final scene I thought was absolutely awesome. And I won't spoil that, but that's also very personal to me. Like, that would be like amazing to have that moment. But that does not mean I don't think this movie was really good, and I really enjoyed it. What I wanted more out of this was I just wanted more of like the filmmaking, And so, like, again, I know this is maybe personal, so he probably kept it more to his real life, but I really wanted I really wanted like the second half of the sequence to him to making like this like student film, like the scenes where he's creating and making films was that. I mean, that's my favorite part of this for obvious reasons. And I wanted more of that. And so I wanted the second act to be like he's creating this student film, and that's where his like imagination has to really kind of play. That's where I wanted to go, because again,
I know why you would say that, because I know you and what you love seeing, but I think that would have just taken away from everything that was set up family wise. I mean, you had to resolve all those family issues and actually finish those sort of journeys.
Yeah, I get that. I still think you can do both. That's instead of the beaching, I just wanted a bigger project. Just to me,
I on the other hand, just absolutely enjoyed every bit of this film. I mean, I didn't really have an expectation going into it, even though the trailer I saw was, like you said, great. I went into it just looking forward to seeing sort of Steven Spielberg's movie. Like, right? Like this is like what we've been waiting for. And I thought that in true Spielberg fashion, this was shot beautifully. I mean, each shot, even the most insignificant shots, you could tell that there was a lot of thought between him and his team about what the audience was going to see. Each sequence was beautiful. I thought the performances in this film, top to bottom, were incredible. Michelle Williams plays the mother. She was great, because I mean, you never knew, was she mental? Did she have a screw loose, or was she just eccentric? And then, without spoiling anything, you find out why, she's a human being and has adult problems. And even the dad, Paul Dano, who normally plays like a
just came off of playing the Riddler.
Yeah, he always plays like a really creepy, kind of messed up character. He almost was kind of typecasted as such, but he plays such a mild-mannered 1940s or 50s dad
60s
to perfection. 60s. I mean, he played it to perfection. I thought Seth Rogen wasn't great, but he wasn't annoying, right? Like
I thought he played the character perfect. I thought
no, exactly. But he didn't go over the top with it. His characters are very much over the top, and with that laugh that he has of his. But I thought that he played it just right. The boy, young Steven Spielberg, Gabriel LaBelle, I thought crushed. I think we're going to see amazing things from him. And I thought a sneaky best performance of this movie was Judd Hirsch as the uncle, who just comes in and he just drops so much emotion into the scenes, and he was sort of almost the catalyst for the young Spielberg into almost making a decision about what he wants to do with his life. And so I thought overall it was beautiful. It was a beautiful film, and I'm really happy I got to see it in the theaters. I'm glad I didn't wait until streaming.
I wouldn't.
It was good. I would go and see this film 4 more times, because I feel like there's always going to be something I can find. And the twist that I won't reveal is like what he discovers when he's watching back his films. It's just like, oh my God, what are they going to do now? It's just it was a powerful film, really well done.
For sure. Yeah. I think, like you're saying, a lot of different emotions when you watch this. I agree with you. I think, especially now that I've gotten that out of the way, now I know what it is. I think I'm going to love it even more the second time I watch it, because that's sometimes the hardest thing when you watch a film. Again, it's like your predetermined beliefs, and again, like Wakanda Forever, I think will have that same thing for people if they watch it twice. It's like, okay, now you got expectations out of the way. Watch the film for what it is, and then you can really just enjoy it and eat it up, and then again have your own experience with it. And I'm definitely going to see it again. Maybe not going to drive out to Century City again to watch it, but when it comes out full release, I'm definitely going to see it.
Even the bullies and their little journey in this film were great. It wasn't like over the top bullies who are just crazy. It was like it was very appropriate for the storytelling and just all around. What a great story!
Yeah, for sure.
Beautiful shot.
Yeah, one of my favorite scenes is when he's shooting. It's probably at this point in the movie, it's his biggest film, and so it's the World War I pick, I think, right? And it's just he's got this one long. And so there's two reasons why this is so cool. One, he's shooting it as one shot, and that's of course like Steven Spielberg's. That's his like trademark, right? He always has these master shots that just track and move, and so he's recreating that in this film, and it's one. But then in order for it to do it, he's got people over here, and then he shoots the scene and the camera moves, and then you see all the kids run. I think it's in the trailer too. Yeah. And all the kids are like running, and then they go lay down in front of the camera as the camera moves down, right? And
that's funny.
Yeah. And then even just him talking to when he's talking to the kid, the actor, and he's just like laying into the emotions, like, you got to play it like this, like, this, imagine, you're not going to see all your friends again. And so like, I won't give the rest of it, but yeah, it's so good. It's just a great.
Go and see both of these films for sure. These are two must sees.
This was a great weekend for us, again, specifically because one, there's not a ton of streaming stuff too. This has been a nice little reprieve from these streaming barrages that we've been getting. But again, excellent film. Go see that. And so upcoming, Pete, we have
this week we've got both streaming and theatrical. There's a lot going on this week. Well,
it's gonna be a busy rest of the year because now you're getting into Oscar season for film releases. This is the last little push. So I mean, the Fabelmans and Wakanda, I mean, those are our best picture nominees probably, because I think Black Panther got nominated, right? So yeah, this is the push. Thanksgiving is usually that time of year where this is the final push. So you're going to see a lot of big movies. So upcoming next week, we have Spirited that's on Apple TV. That comes out tomorrow, actually, Friday, November 18th.
Friday the 18th, yep.
Yeah, we have She Said, which is out in theaters. That's kind of like the Harvey Weinstein story.
Investigative journalist story. Yeah, I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so that I'm going to actually see that tonight. And then we have The Menu with Ralph Fiennes. It should be Fiennes because we both took German and it's IE.
Yeah, but I think it's pronounced Fiennes.
All right, well, he says it wrong. It's Fiennes. And then The Wonder starring Florence Pugh. That's on Netflix. Those are just the name of the few that are come out. Those are the main four.
And A Christmas Story Christmas.
Oh, Christmas Story Christmas. Yes, we will watch that one for sure. I'm gonna actually probably watch that today, hopefully. And then on our regular podcast, we have Pulp Fiction coming out at the end of the week, and then the following week we'll have Home Alone, and then that's all that's officially scheduled. We got a few more. I mean, we're gonna do Elf, we're gonna do Christmas Vacation, Christmas Story, the original, and yeah. So with that being said, Pete, that is a cut. Thanks, guys.